Well, this summer is going to be a little bit different for me. Of course, I'm still going to be back and forth, Ohio, PA, Ontario, obviously doing a lot of work in that regard, some Kentucky, but most importantly to me also is what's in the back here. Ollie, I'd like to be able to balance his baseball a little bit, be able to see a few games. Tried to get him over here yesterday, but it didn't work out. Obviously, there are hurdles that I'm going to be up against all summer also, and qualifying the babies today and yesterday was one of them. Thankfully, the game today is at 4:00, and as soon as I came off the track, and I mean, I didn't even see them walk the horse back to the stall. I had my suit off and I was gone in the car and over to Ohio. We had lots of time now. There was no traffic at the border, and I'll be able to watch Ollie play tonight. He's going to get some mound work tonight. Both teams on both sides of the border got a lot of work going on right now. A lot of games this week coming up for some reason. He's going to have to spend quite a bit of time in Ontario this week with the Royals, but for today he is a knight, a Nordonia knight on the road. So we're driving down around Avon, where we were a couple of weeks ago. It's a nice area. And then tonight, when the game is over, I'm going to take a little rip back up to Northfield and drive the filly. I Forbid You. She's in the 5th. Actually, I never thought about the time. I wonder how far it is from this place to to Northfield. I got to get back in time. Anyway, first and foremost, the game today. I Forbid You tonight. And then tomorrow we go back to Ontario. What a week we had. I could do an entire opening video about how the babies did, but I think I'll relegate that video to the babies, to the 2-year-olds. Talk about all of them, what I saw from them this week, what I want to see from them next week. It wasn't a perfect week. We did end up with 2 breakers. Now, in fairness to both of them, the track was horrendous in Mohawk yesterday. Very muddy. They did not have the footwear for that track. And to be frank, I think we got to make a few little changes with Flash Fly, very minor changes with insider trading, and I think she'll literally be off to the races. So I want to talk about what went on this week, what is coming up this week ahead. A very, very busy week, and a lot of stress relief as it came to Ohio. Not only do we have a lot of babies going behind the gate, but then I have to worry about no water on the track on Thursday. The water truck broke before the races. And you might say, well, it's going to get dusty. Who cares? The dust is a byproduct of what the actual problem was, which is the track being very deep, very cuppy. And I actually am floored. I expect a lot from our horses. And I was even Scott said, that's pretty incredible that all those horses qualified. All those horses did their work on that track. He said that was impressive. And then, I didn't want to, but I asked him today, how'd they look today at the Meadowlands? He goes, honestly, there was a pretty good headwind. Looks like Money qualified in 54, 28 flat. He said, Anthony, that's 26 in a piece, no problem. Big headwind. Everybody kind of hung out around 59, 2 minutes at the qualifiers. He goes, I'm not going to gauge Northfield and the Meadowlands headwinds and bad track. He said, but they look good. Everything looked good. So I was even more impressed. And then that is coming off our qualifiers today, which were perfect also in Ontario. We only had 2 more. We had Lonely Lakewood, who has been one of our best horses all along, and Ready for Landing, who's been one of our naughtiest horses all year long. So he said to Scott, if you trained 100 times, you run 85 of them. And I think that's a pretty fair assessment. But the last 3 weeks, he's really started to put it all together. I still don't think he understands everything perfectly, but he understands the difference between right and wrong on the track, gate-wise, and put in a pretty good performance today. If you had told me at any point in the season, oh, by the way, Ready for Landing will qualify June 10th in 2-2 last quarter in 29 seconds, I would have a hearty chuckle at that statement. Incredible mile for him on a number of fronts. Speed-wise, not a big deal. He can go a lot faster than that. But attitude-wise, understanding, focus, and the presence of mind to finish his work off, but not get excited doing it. When I come out of the tool hall, it wasn't game on, he's just going to rip everybody apart. It was coast by, yep, got you, and just kept kind of coasting past him. And that was an impressive mile from him. Lonely Lakewood, James said, was awesome. I was most impressed with the fact that I could see he interfered a couple of times in the mile, but James said no hesitation whatsoever. He might have chewed on himself a little bit, but there's no concerning moments in the mile. Just really impressed with the horse, the way the horse went about his work. The babies today training were great. I was thoroughly impressed with everything I saw. Of course, Jason calls me when I'm doing my video. I did want to take that phone call because I do want to know how they trained today. Some of them were training, and Horn Player was training today, so I did want to know. I'll get back to Jason right away. So, really impressed with the entire crew all week long. The only two blemishes, I think, you have to chalk a little bit up to the track, but a very telling surface in the fact that they had to do a little more work than I would have liked them to do. But where were their inferiorities? Where were their issues? Insider trading, minor issue, I can fix that very easily. Flash flag, going to take a little polish to get her right, but that's okay. Her attitude and her work ethic is good, and that is the most important thing. Now, all eyes will be on Kentucky for us on Monday. We have Arson, Militant, and of course Pickpocket, who I think for the time being has solidified himself is our best horse right now. He looked absolutely incredible. When you factor in all the qualifiers everywhere in North America, I would say Scott was probably right. He said, that's probably one of the best looking qualifiers in North America right now. Pickpocket's line, yeah, I would think it was. Yeah, he looked very, very impressive. And even if you put Militants anywhere in the mix in North America, just drop that line in anywhere, it's a good line also. So Militant, Pickpocket, and then of course Arson looked great in his qualifier. I am really, really excited to race those horses in Kentucky, and Per Lucky in Kentucky on Monday. Also, Born to Dance will make his first lifetime start Wednesday. He's coming back in 6 days. But you know what? I said to Scott, and I said to Jason, I said to James, this guy's got a lot to prove, right? And he's going to have to put in a little extra effort. We're asking the seventh inning pitcher to come in and close the game, and that's tough. You're asking a lot of Born to Dance. You're asking him to be something that he wasn't all year, and it appears he might have a chance to be. So he's going to have to do a little extra work and a little overtime, and I think the race on Wednesday is suited very well for him. If it looks like he can, keep up to speed, make some speed, and finish off his miles the way he did in his qualifier last week, I think we do have a horse that I can sit behind and stand behind and say, yeah, this is the guy we're going to bring to the next generation, because that's what we're looking at right now. Can you do you belong? Are you going to be able to compete and compete well and be a factor in that particular race? He's still got a little to prove, but he seems like he's well on his way. So Arson, Militant, Pickpocket, Born to Dance, 4 horses to keep your eye on before Wednesday of this week coming up. Obviously, a lot of eyes will be Sunday on Spitfire, Crantini, Austral, and Tailgate Buzz. Those 4 horses racing in the Poconos. I'm not quite sure why the fields were so short in the Poconos. I thought they'd be filled up a little bit. In particular, the Stallion Series with Buzz and Austral Hanover, very, very short fields. 5 and 6, I think. I was really, really surprised. They should both do really well. My brother Mark is driving them. Scotty's got the lines for Crantini and for Crantini and Spitfire Overseas. Spitfire's coming in red hot off a big mile. He should be good. And obviously, as I said, the qualifier from Looks Like Money today, Scott said, Anthony, 28 flat is a 26 and a piece. That was a huge qualifier. I like the way this horse moves. Now, very nice horse. We know that, but he's in the deep end of the ocean now. Like, he's in it. It doesn't get any deeper than where he's about to go over the next 5 weeks. So we'll get a real good look at Looks Like Money, what he's all about as a 4-year-old, at least to start his season, and where the trajectory of this horse might take him. He's staked to everything this season, so very interested to see how he's going to be, or if he's going to be a player in the 4-year-old open division. We'll see. We'll see this week, starting this week. Now, this week past, we had some good miles. Cutie Comfort took her lifetime mark. Nice to see her get a lifetime mark. Locatelli raced good in the preferred. Yeah, he was beat. I would say everybody is on the same page in saying he's not at the top of his game, but looked good and did well in doing it. Still keeps pounding out the money and doing well and keeping himself in a favorable position in Ontario. Patrick the Piranha, very similar. Wasn't awesome this week, but got the job done. 51-4, 27-4. I don't think it was anywhere near his best work, but he still got the job done, which is always important. Resolute Bay, again, as one of our clients had pointed out, Patricia pointed out, geez, he doesn't look that sound. That's because he's not. His knees and his feet hurt him. We're always trying to work on a number of problems at one time with Resolute Bay, and as he grows up and fills out, our hope is all that management will come to a head, and we'll go out in the track, and he'll get better, and all of a sudden, hey, where'd this tough 4-year-old come from? And I think that's important. A mile and 53-2 when he's not 100% sound. You guys know it. You can see it on the track. He's not super comfortable, but still looking to find his way to the winner's circle, and that's what good horses do. So good job by Harry and Nellie and Danielle and of course Resolute Bay and James, a great drive on the horse. We saw our very first homebred win. Now there might be a lot of breeders out there saying, oh, we've had lots. We've won the Breeders' Crown. We've won other races. We haven't. The first time ever a homebred of the stable.ca found the winner's circle was last week with My 1%, and he looked rather good doing it. An impressive mile from My 1%. Can't wait to see him race. He's going to the Prospect Series, his next start. Mario's going to drive him, I believe, next weekend for Dominic, as we have Warwi Yuri heading to the same scenario. Very happy with the way those horses are progressing. They all progress at different rates. Some horses come out swinging right away, like Spitfire, and maybe he wasn't awesome his first couple. His third he was, but you can see him just grind into this monster of an animal where, you're talking about two different horses when you're talking about My 1%, Warwi Yuri. Warwi Yuri has the pedigree to be a good horse at some point in his career. I'm not shocked with anything that has taken place with him, and I'm very happy with him. And My 1% went from looked like he might be an okay horse in the winter to being horrible and not being able to do any work properly to making that massive rebound and finally getting to the winner's circle in his first win. So really happy with him. We saw some other horses continue to race well. Mo Power Baby, I thought, raced well in Ohio. Very impressed with the way she's gone about her work. Coupe de Ville, finishing third, but a very good third to two horses she's going to have to tangle with all year long. Very happy with her. Merchant Man, yes, he was a beaten favorite at 1-5, but the front isn't really his forte, and I thought the horse raced pretty good. 58 and a piece. He's proven that he's going to be an overnight player. Now, what he becomes from here on in will be up to him. But it looks like he's going to be an overnight player, so that's good. What a Mission. Looked like, I thought the horse raced great. If you didn't even slide out when Chris Page made that break and get a run at the leader, I think he's second. But a good mile again from beaten by another two horses he's going to have to tangle with. He himself is going to have to tangle with all year long. So an impressive mile from him. And then Yo Mister, up a class into the Open, 52. He's not Smokin' Jet, right? Long way between him and Smokin' Jet. But raced pretty good. If we could ever get him just a little stronger in the turns, and we will, Stacy and Brett will get him there, then I think that Yo Mister will end up being a player in some better classes. He can really go anywhere this fall. He might stay in Ohio. He might come to Ontario. Who knows? He could go anywhere. He won't be at Yonkers, I can tell you that. But a player in the bigger track, maybe Indiana, where he was from. Also, who knows? But a strong week again, top to bottom at the in the barn in general. Obviously, I'm not oblivious to the fact that the 2-year-olds are front and center right now. Not trying to take anything away from the Spitfires, right? Nothing But a Dreamer got off to a slow start last week, but we know how good he is, and he's going to round into shape. Really, the only true disappointments were the injury to Carter Michael Dio, which is coming along nicely. He's behaving himself very, very well in the stall, which is important because he's such a goofball. I was worried that 4 weeks in the stall for a horse like him, it's asking a lot. I would love to be able to put him in the pool at 4 weeks, but that will depend on the x-ray, and that x-ray, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, will be taken the end of next week. We can get Carter Michael Dio in the pool for 3-4 weeks. It's a big head start to the rest of the summer. So that's impressive. And then, Brace for Landing, yes, it's disappointing. And as I say to my wife, who works diligently, almost to tears when she talks about how skinny he is and just can't put that weight on him. We were forced to castrate him. We did. And I know for sure he'll start to put weight on now. I got to put some of that on my shoulders. She wanted to castrate him way back when. James wanted to. Scotty, Megan, everybody wanted to, and I refused to. I'm only human, and I have to say that I was wrong. It looks like I was wrong. So I would like to see a better Brace for Landing come back. He's eligible to everything through the end of the year. It's not the end of the world. He's not injured. Put some weight on him, get him feeling good, get him paying attention, get him back on track, and back racing. That's the plan with Brace for Landing. As I said to Scotty the other night, he asked me, he said, you think him being a stud was where he was making breaks? Part and parcel it was. I think the skinniness and the non-focus, and it just goes to show you, as I said in the video the other day, the last 3 weeks he's just not paid attention, not done his work well. Those are the 3 worst races of his life. And that wasn't coming from Pete. That was my wife telling me, hey, he's just being rude, being ignorant the last 3 weeks, and those were the 3. This wasn't a chicken and the egg thing. I don't think the breaks turned into a bad attitude. I think the bad attitude turned into breaks. So really, when you look at our entire stable, it is firing pretty good. Brace didn't come back the way I wanted. Crantini made that mistake last week. Carter Michael Deal stuck in a stall, healing up. Up comes Spitfire Overseas, swinging for the fence, and looked like $1 million. Looked great. Utilizing all his good habits. Great work ethic, speed, attitude. It's going to turn into a nice horse. It'll be great when we get them all firing. Hopefully get Crantini squared away. I know, Scott had said he's worried that those break rates might turn into 50%. That would be frustrating. Keep them around a quarter would be okay. This week would be big. If he makes a break this week, the prophecy of Scott will come to fruition. But hopefully behaves himself. I know that Megan and Scott had a plan they were going to implement this week to keep him more attentive, to keep him moving forward and paying attention, and eager to see if that, as I said, comes to fruition, or if the other side of the coin does. So a real pivotal race for Crantini. Spitfire Overseas has just been awesome. As I said, when you can integrate a good work ethic, good attitude, and in some cases good breeding, strong horse with lots of great attributes, and then that horse comes forward in a big way, there's no stopping. Who knows what kind of horse Spitfire Overseas will become? I can assure you, and you could tell in the video, that Scott certainly changed his tune on him, because he looks like the meat and potatoes type, but turns into a monster when he sees the starting gate. That's the best kind of horse. So who knows? Austral looked incredible the other day. Almost looked good enough. Somebody said, why don't you give him a chance in the Sire Stakes? No, not gonna. Gonna keep him where he can dominate and let him turn into the best form of Austral Hanover he can. Keep him at 4-5, 6-5, 8-5, 2-1. Keep him there. Let him be Austral Hanover. And at some point towards the end of the year, we toss him back into the Sire Stakes, see if we can catch a consolation again. We can do that. We can do that. But for right now, I think I'm quite happy with what I see for a horse that, punched above his weight class for the first 4 or 5 starts of the year. That's a big ask. And the very second he got in with his own kind, he pounded them. That's a good horse looking for a way to win. He certainly found it. He looked great. And Tailgate Buzz has always kind of been a step behind Austral. I know my partners in Tailgate Buzz might say, hey, that's not fair. You know it. Just a hair behind him. And that's, the same this year. But you know what? That hair behind him is still going to find him in the winner's circle quite a bit this summer. And I think very likely on Sunday. So that's what's going on with the horses. Really impressed with what I've seen. But obviously this is the time of year when I'm on pins and needles, right? Yeah, they qualified good. Okay, show me. Let's see them in the stake races. That's the next thing, right? We went through a big hurdle with over half of our babies already, qualifying them, getting them ready to race. Got to get the other ones ready. We got about 8 or 10, a couple that were injured, a couple that went out to the field we stopped with. I would say all except for, I can't make any predictions for Cowboy and for Lover's Play. It's unfortunate they were injured. But will they make it back? When will that be? What will that look like? I don't think Cowboy, you'll see him in 2023. I think we've come to that conclusion. But what does 2024 look like? I don't know yet. We're in a precarious position with both these horses. Still not a lot of answers. I think Lover's Play is a much more favorable position. Does that mean she gets to race this year? I went from, hey, I thought she'd be ready in the summer to later in the summer to the fall. Now we're going to see her in 2023. I guess the only thing you can look forward to when you have injuries where you're forced to stop is that you can use that to your advantage also. Put weight on the horses. Let their joints cool down. Have a bigger, stronger horse when you bring them back. So I guess, that's your silver lining on a pretty crappy situation for two horses that look so promising for 2023. To have to, scale that back is really hard to take. I get it, but I think we all know that accidents happen in every form, in every way, walk of life. We go through them, we see them, they happen. Not much you can do about that. But when you look at the other horses that are out in the field for a little bit, or we have a couple that are on that 3-3, 3 weeks in the stall, 3 weeks in the pool, I like to call it. Those horses have every intention of racing them this summer, and that is George of the Jungle and I can't remember her name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. The creatine filly over here that had already trained in 2.6 come a half in a minute. George of the Jungle 2.8 come a half in a minute. Those horses were there. They were knocking on the door of qualifying. But both of them, their knees were a little unsettling. The vet said, geez, could be something brewing there. All right, pump the brakes. Everybody likes to say it in one form or another, but ours is when the horses speak, you better listen, right? And that's the same with a lot of trainers. When something's going on, you always have that little voice in the back of your head saying, hey, you might want to take a second look at this. Oh, snap you. That's the filly. I told you it was on the tip of my tongue. And that's what we've done with these two horses in particular. There are a couple other horses we turned out in the field. Hallie in the Clouds, I just think she's a big giant. And I think we're asking a lot of her to get ready as a 2-year-old. She was one of our best in January, which is impressive, right? In a different way than some of the other past horses. You look at Merchant Man, who was our best horse last year, December, January. He got to a point where he's this big, lanky colt. But overall, that work ethic and that attitude is going to be the driving force behind what you are and what you become. It's a huge component. And his is just, whatever. There's lots of horses like that. He can get better and better and better. What he becomes is up to him. Whereas Hallie in the Clouds always had that killer, when she was so good training in January and February, circling the field, being strong, looking good. You factor in the breeding. There's no doubt in my mind. You just give her time to mature as a horse. She's going to be a good horse. And that work ethic and attitude comes in, right? Sure, she's a little crabby filly, big, strong filly. But when push comes to shove, she always was right there to clean up the pieces when she had the opportunity and when she was able. Just give her some time. Turn her out. Let her grow up. Let her fill out. So that's what we're going to do there. We already did that with the International Spy, right? We're going to do that with a couple of more horses. Just turn them out. Let them grow up. If they tell us they need the time, they need the time. For everybody else, get to work. It's going to be qualifying day very, very soon for everybody. I think you're going to see us put some in next week in Ontario to qualify. A lot of people asking, hey, where's Winter Bells? Hey, those horses don't got to be ready till the first week of July. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal. I think the 11th or 9th or something is Winter Bells. So we'll probably put Winter Bells into qualify, I would say, next week. She'll have 2. Probably go a mile in 2 minutes, 2-1 next week, back in 57, 58. That's the plan for her. Mounts for All, stiff training mile today, and he needed it. He had that one coming. He's ready to rock. We can put him into qualify. He's going to need 2 qualifiers. I can go through the list of the horses that very likely you can see next week qualifying. In Ontario, you're going to see Insider Trading for sure. Flashfly, I don't know. We'll see how the week goes with her. You're going to see Mounts for All into qualify. You're likely going to see Jayport Beach Boy, McPaisley, Watch Your Mouth, all those horses soon. Punch the Clock? No. She's not going to be ready until almost July. We're going to drag our feet with her and make sure that she is super comfortable. She looked very, very good today. 2:12 in the jog cart at 1.5 miles. Last half at 1:03. That is racing speed right there. If we had to and we needed to, she could qualify right now. But she is not. Widespread Panic, same thing, different situation. Obviously, Widespread Panic is not Punch the Clock. But a decent colt, I'm not just sending him to Indiana to send him there. We're going to send Mel Gibbs-Swan. You know, somebody say, well, Mel Gibbs-Swan was 5th. I thought we were going to take our time. We did. It was a good mile for Mel Gibbs-Swan. We're going to go another trip with Mel Gibbs-Swan. That will be almost the 20th of July, which puts him 25 days from racing. I was happy with him. Very happy with Mounds for All. Same thing. He's going to qualify twice. Those 2 horses will likely end up in Indiana, whereas Widespread Panic's going to take a little more time. Time is on my side. Somebody said to Anthony, you got to get that horse going. No, I'm not getting him going. Not at all. He'll be ready when he's ready. And not 1 second before. And I really don't care if it's July 1st or 15th. There is an entire dance card of stakes for this colt. We have bigger aspirations with Time is on my side than to just rush him to Pennsylvania and say that we got him qualified. So for those of you out there waiting and saying, I hope he's ready. I hope he's not ready. He's been in 2-2. He's going to school at least once, if not twice more. And when we qualify him, he'll be ready to go in 56 and likely go in 59. And he'll qualify again. That will be the trajectory for Time is on my side. So before anybody sends me an email and said, Anthony, he said he schooled in 2-2. You know, I believe that he should be. It doesn't matter. You guys don't know. He'll be ready when he's ready. And that is it for Time is on my side. He is on the exact same trajectory for the exact same reasons, minus the colic and the almost death at Christmas time. Minus that little nugget. Very, very similar trajectories for these 2 horses. Alibaba. Everybody I've talked to in Ontario tells me how much they love Alibaba. Now, the other filly is cranky, a little bit of a miserable cow sometimes, AC Swan, but she's trying to catch up. She's been playing catch up from day 1, so don't blame her. I thought she trained good today. Didn't train fast, 2:18, but I thought she trained good. Marked up her left hind down low. What does that mean? How are we going to fix that? I got some ideas. Probably put a little longer shoe on her for her next schooler. Problem with putting a little longer shoe on her can put a little more pressure on her, and she had an OCD out of her stifle at Christmas. Gotta be careful. Maybe go part way. See, inch by inch, just put a tiny bit longer shoe on her until you say to yourself, okay, I don't see any new marks on that left hind. Maybe she's ready to go. Or maybe we take the flip-flops off her up front. It's a deep track out in Illinois. She may not be able to go with those shoes. Can she stay sound? Maybe just with a circuit plate on her? Those aluminum plates? Great questions. And even if you asked her and she could speak English, she wouldn't know. So a little tinkering to be done with AC Swan, but Alibaba, as I said, everyone in Ontario tells me how much they love Alibaba. In fact, anybody that's ever sat behind her, except for the 2 times she urinated on Mario, or once on Johnny, once on Mario, that was just her horsing. She didn't do it today. Except for those 2 times, nobody has ever gone with her and said an angry word about that filly. So I think we got a pretty nice filly in Alibaba, and a horse I don't know with AC Swan. She's going to make it. I suspect she seems the type to me that when she gets a proper amount of work in, she gets stronger, and she pushes forward, she just changes like that. I believe that's what's going to happen with AC Swan. Drebin, again, somebody said, Drebin, when is he going to race? Drebin will race when Drebin tells me he's ready to go. He hasn't said a word yet, by the way. He had a good training trip today. He trained in 2.8 at Grand River. He's always been ready for a long time. We're going to do his knees this week with the medication I talked about in an earlier video. Dr. Bosenjak will do that. We'll do that injection in his knees. He'll have an easy week. Is it likely you'll see him into qualify? No, probably not. In fact, I'll say it right now. There's a very slim chance you're going to see him into go. Some of these horses, I know you guys see the horses like Lonely Lakewood and all the horses in Ohio going and say, where's Drebin? Every single horse is different. There's no cookie cutter qualifying schedule for these horses. And I know that you want to see them go, but I can tell you what you don't want to see them do is get hurt, break down, go lame, and then be in the field or be in the stall and in the pool for 3 weeks. You don't want to see that. So just pump your brakes and relax. Every single horse, I know where they're at and when they're going to be ready to go. And I'll be happy to tell you what I think. Drebin is not going to qualify this week, and he may not qualify next week. I think he will probably qualify the first of 2 next week, but it won't be this week coming up. Don't Talk About Bruno was good today, 2:18, a little bit behind everybody else, but he's already seen the gate. Oh no, he didn't. He didn't go to Grand River, so that's actually good that he only went 2:18, because if he's okay, he can go to Mohawk and school for the first time behind the gate on Tuesday. So that's actually very good. But you definitely won't see him qualify next week. likely the week after, one of 2 qualifiers. And Seasons of Love is ready to go whenever we want. She was sound as a dollar today, 2.8 last half in a minute, kind of commanding fashion at Grand River. She doesn't need 2 qualifiers. She'll probably only need 1, which means she could qualify next Friday. She probably will qualify. By next Friday, it could be Friday or Saturday. They have them split up by sex, I believe. So you'll likely see Seasons of Love next Friday. She has been awesome, looks awesome, continues to look good, and now we know exactly what the issue is. We know exactly how to fix it and manage it. Shouldn't be a problem the rest of the year. It should be smooth sailing with Seasons of Love. Having said that, I don't want to jinx myself, but that is my belief with her. Now, do we have any other horses? Flashfly and Insider Trading. Insider Trading most definitely will qualify next week. Flashfly is doubtful for next week. And I think that's all the horses that are ready to rock right now in Ontario. I think we have 20 or 21 here. 19 are pretty much ready to go. That's the list of who's going to be in to go here. Ohio, a little more intricate. I can tell you for sure, Sunset Acres Girl will qualify next week for the first time. That's around the 19th, which is about 3 weeks from her first race, so that's fine with me. She trained in 2.3 last half of a minute the other day. So it would be hard for me to believe, given the history of Michigan and what I've heard is going on, that she wouldn't be quite a ways ahead of most of her rivals at this point. Now, how we manage her the rest of the season will be up to Lauren's father, Donnie, because she'll be shipping out there at some point. Will we get a race into her first? I don't know. Quite possibly we will, but that'll be up to her. We'll have a ton of other horses qualifying next week. Jason sent him a message. I said, what do you think for next Thursday? He goes, please just give me 1 day apiece. 1 day apiece without worrying about it. So I said, it's fine. That's fine. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Today is tomorrow. We'll talk about it later. So with that, I'm all done my opening. All smiles here. The only 2 blemishes of the whole week. You really can't blame on the horses. And a lot was learned still. They might have been breaks, but a lot was learned from those breaks. A little tinkering on Insider Trading, quite a bit of tinkering on Flashfly, but I'm confident both those horses will be ready to go in time. With that, I'll let you guys go. I hope you're having a great weekend. I know I am. It's going to get a lot better here at 3:30, 4 p.m. when Ollie starts playing baseball. Can't wait to see that. And that will make my day, and hopefully we can get done in time for me to drive I Forbid You. And that will be that for Saturday night. So it looks like a busy but a great day here at the stable. I was going to say in Ontario. I was in Ontario. Now I'm in Ohio. A great day at the stable. Take care, everybody.